All right. So today's speaker, Kitty Coy, is an award-winning magnetic mind coach, international inspirational speaker, and best-selling author. After working for years as a neuroscientist, Kitty's love of people inspired her to start her own coaching business, UBU Coaching. Kitty is passionate about using neuroscience-based tools to help people unlock their manifesting abilities. She loves helping women improve their relationships with abundance so that they can increase their happiness and impact the world. Utilizing these neuroscience based tools and scientific manifesting strategies, Kitty has actualized 10 of her lifetime bucket list achievements in the last 3 years to consistently magnify her success. That perked my interest. I'm sure it got yours. So thank you very much. Take it away, Kitty.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. Let me pull up. I'm going to share my slides really quick. This is something I am so passionate about talking about is tips to become a manifesting machine. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to like raise your hand or unmute or to participate. Otherwise, we can save questions to the end. We got some breakout rooms. But just I'm going to get started with the purpose of this presentation is to share with you the secrets and the science. And just because this is a short presentation, just barely scrape the surface on the science, but the secrets and the science behind manifesting, because so many people have categorized manifestation as woo woo or like as part of spirituality, or maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. It worked for some people, it doesn't work for others. So we're going to dispel some of those myths and learn the secrets. Because really, when you understand how manifestation works from a scientific level, coming from a neuroscience perspective, I love the science of it. It's a protocol. You can literally follow these steps and you can manifest with much more consistency. And then I'm going to actually teach you how to learn to start manifesting. That's our very last slide to talk about what is this protocol? And we're going to talk about the challenges too, the areas where you might find yourself. I call them like the potholes that you might fall like on the road to manifesting what you want. What are the potholes, the challenges that you might be falling into? So thank you for the kind introduction. Just to share a little bit more, my degree is actually in neuroscience. And so I did 10 years of drug development testing and clinical research for the FDA as a behavioral neurophysiologist. So that is a fancy way to say I studied how the structure of your brain affects and changes your behavior, and how your behavior will actually change the structure of your brain, and how to mitigate those two things to be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself. And as much as I loved like I was literally a bench scientist and a clinical scientist and all that, as much as I love research and I'm passionate about it, I knew that being in science wasn't for me forever. And so in 2017, I left science and took what felt at the time like this right hand turn in my life, completely going somewhere different into coaching. And then I found my way into magnetic mind coaching. And so specifically what that is I help people get crystal clear in what do they want to create in their life, which is funny. That's actually often the hardest thing we work through is what do we want to create? What are we moving towards? And we'll actually, one of the challenges we'll talk about later will help you understand why this is the hardest thing. It's getting clear on what you want. But once you get clear on what you want, I use neuroscience-based tools to release resistance. Resistance could be fear, self doubt, procrastination, unworthiness. It also looks like freak accidents, family emergencies. Anytime you're working towards creating something you want and something comes and gets in the way of that, it's just resistance. So we use neuroscience based tools to release that resistance so that you can consistently take action on your goals. So that's really what I do. And I'm so passionate about it because, like I said, it's really fun to help people walk this journey. And there is a strategy behind all of this, which you'll learn today. So I'm certified in meditation, mindset, NLP, like you name it. I have a lot of certifications around this. Specifically, I'm certified in a superconscious recoding process. We'll talk a little bit about what the superconscious is today, just very briefly. But I'm a manifesting machine, and I haven't always been a manifesting machine. But I really, once I hacked this code, like Lizzie said in the intro, in the last 3 years, I've just been manifesting whatever I want. I opened a wellness center. I published a book and became a best-selling author. I just got back from a trip that I've been manifesting. It took me a couple of years to get that one together, but my dream trip to go live on a sailboat in Greece, And there's so many more things that I've done. And it's because I've learned how to work this consistently and how to, all the potholes and challenges, I learned them because I've experienced all of them. And so we're going to talk about very briefly how you can get out of all of them, but we'll just jump straight into the definition of manifesting. I just want to get all on the same page. What is manifesting? Manifesting is simply focusing your thoughts on something you want, your vision, in an effort to turn your thoughts into things and to bring that vision to life. And I love this quote from Albert Einstein: everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. If you can match the frequency of the reality you want to create, you cannot help but create that reality. It can be no other way. It's not a philosophy. This is physics. And Albert Einstein literally said this like 80 something years ago, in like the early 1940s. And so he is an expert on quantum physics, but I love that. It's frequency. And so many people have put manifesting in the woo woo. I don't know if I can do it. It's just we don't know how to do it or to do it consistently. But I'll tell you a secret is you're already manifesting everything all the time. And so we're just going to teach you how to start manifesting what you actually want to be experiencing. But I trust Albert Einstein on in quantum physics. So we'll get right into the science, because quantum physics really does explain manifestation. And so there is a thing, the number one scientific experiment that explains manifestation is the double slit experiment. And basically what it was, this happened in 1927, and they've been studying it continuously for 97 years because it is amazing and it makes no sense. And they're trying to understand the limits of it. And so what it is they fired electrons through a sheet of gold that had two slits in it. And basically they started the machine and then they went to lunch. They left. And when they were just firing the electron machine without anybody there, without anybody observing it, it showed up as this on the right hand side. This is what you call a wave pattern. And so this is basically literally whatever they're receiving on the electrons. This is the pattern that the electrons, when it was not observed. Like a good scientist, they repeated the experiment, but this time they stayed home. They didn't go to lunch, and they were watching this experiment, and it showed up. And this is not a zoomed in version. This is literally at the same magnification. So when they watched the electrons being fired, it created a particle pattern. When they were not watching the electrons, it created a wave pattern. And the reason why they've been studying this for 97 years is to understand the edges and the limits of this, because they set up a camera, and the camera, somebody watched in another room, and it showed up as the observed pattern. And if they recorded it and watched the recording later, it shows up as not observed. So I'm just giving you the very, very tip of the iceberg in this, but the results show electrons act differently when they're consciously observed. And it has to be a human consciousness. If a computer watches it, it's not the same. If an animal watches it, it's not the same. It has to be a human consciousness. And this human consciousness changes how the electrons showed up in the results. So what's the moral of the story? Your consciousness affects matter. Your consciousness affects and changes the outcome, which is just so amazing. I actually just got goosebumps because it's such a cool thing to understand that your consciousness changes this. So as you observe your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior, you're actually changing the outcome. So as you have more positive thoughts, you're creating a more positive outcome. And so this is so amazing. And literally matter is changed by our consciousness. So this is the first, and again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to learn more, you can look at the double slit experiment, and you could fall into a rabbit hole of learning more about that. But we'll get into the next quantum physics phenomenon. I'm not going to talk about the exact experiment, but it's a series of experiments. And Albert Einstein famously called quantum entanglement spooky action at a distance. And quantum entanglement is really interesting. What it is two particles that are entangled. When you separate them and you do something to one particle, instantaneously the same thing happens to the other particle. And they literally took these particles to the opposite ends of the world, literally like tens of thousands of miles apart, and they affected particle A, and instantaneously particle B was affected, which is very curious and spooky action at a distance, because the fastest thing we know in the known universe is the speed of light. And the speed of light, it would take minutes to reach from one particle to the other. And these particles are affected not a half of a second, not a millisecond later, at the exact moment. So when these particles are entangled, one affects the other. So what does that mean for you? You and your dream, you and your vision, you and your desired outcome, you're two entangled particles. So as soon as you affect yourself, as soon as you raise your vibration, you start becoming the frequency of what you want to create, you are actually increasing the likelihood of receiving it in that, receiving it, bringing it to life in that world. And so quantum entanglement is the other way, and it gets very complicated, but basically just know that if you have your dream has you too. And so you are two entangled particles. So as you raise your vibration and increase your readiness to receive your dream, when you take one step towards your dream takes 1,000 steps towards you. And I've got a story of that I can tell in a minute. So let's get into the science around manifesting. So basically, everything is energy. Albert Einstein just said so, and I trust him as an expert on quantum physics. And if everything is energy, each thought is an energy. Each belief is an energy. Each emotion is an energy. Your attitude is an energy. And we have approximately 80,000 thoughts a day. We have tens of thousands of beliefs potentially, and there's something like 120 emotions we can be experiencing. And so all of these are creating energy. So when you add this all together, all your thoughts, all your emotions, all your beliefs, your attitude in general, these are putting out an energy, which actually creates an energy field around you. And that's what the picture is. This is called, the shape is called a torus. It looks like a cake donut with like no hole in the middle, except you're in the middle. And so this the toric field is your energetic field, and heart math has proved it. This picture is actually taken from the Institute of Heart Math, and they can actually measure your field. And most people's field is about 3 to 6 feet away from them, like on each direction of you. And this field is actually called your superconscious. The superconscious is the energetic field around you, creating the results in your life. So it takes instructions from your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And this energy field is what's attracting and manifesting for you. And so when you have a specific emotion, you're putting that emotion into the field, and it attracts experiences, things, people, opportunities that reinforce that energy field, that emotion. So through your energetic field, if you're having a bad day, you're putting that into your energetic field, and it will attract things that will make you have a bad day to reinforce this energy field. So the emotions that we have attract energies to us. Like attracts like. And if like attracts like, love attracts love. So this image is the map of consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. He wrote about it in Power versus Force. I don't have time to get into how he created this, but this is it is the frequency of each emotion. So the frequency of love is about 500 in the wavelength. And so you can see that the lower level emotions are lower on the frequency scales, the less desirable emotions. And the more we get into these higher level, they literally call them higher level emotion, but more pleasant emotions, we get closer and closer, or higher and higher in their energetic field, and closer to like love and joy and peace and enlightenment. So what matters is each emotion has a specific energy level. And again, that's the energy you're putting out in your field. If you're in love, you're putting out this frequency of 500, and that's attracting more things that you will love and will make you feel in love. And so higher level emotions have higher levels of energy to them. And then these higher levels of energy attract better, more enlightened things to you. When you're in this place of love, you're attracting more true happiness. You're more connected to your intuition. You're attracting things that reinforce being in the emotion of love. And conversely, if you're in an emotion and there's no good or bad emotions, there's just like, and it's really not even positive or negative. It's just more emotions you want to feel and experience more or less. But if you're in this place of grief, that's why they often say, deaths happen in threes. We get in this place where we attract more things that are going to reinforce our emotion of grief. And so it's not to say you're affecting that world around you, but you're attracting and you're noticing, you're focusing on those things so they become obvious to you that you might not have noticed them before. Just like how if you're driving down the road, I noticed before I got a Jeep, I never noticed Jeeps on the road. As soon as I got a Jeep, there's Jeeps everywhere. The Jeeps were always on the road, but I just couldn't see them. So that's what I mean about you attract more grief. It's always in the field. You're just attracting more of it. And so one thing I want to share is gratitude. Gratitude as a beingness is measured at 900 wavelength. So if you want to move yourself up this emotional scale, all you need to do is focus on gratitude, and gratitude will pull you up, raise your energetic vibrational state to be in these higher level emotions. So let's talk about the number one myth in manifesting. So this is where books and movies like The Secret did everybody such an injustice around manifestation, because what they tell you, popular media says, all you need to do is think positive thoughts and positive things will come into your life. That could be true, but that's not consistently. That's not how you manifest, but that's what we've been programmed to believe as manifestation. That's why we get really frustrated. Well, I'm having all these positive thoughts. I'm maybe, being really nice to people. I'm putting lots of positive energy into the world. Why are positive things not coming into my life? And so the number one myth about manifesting is that you don't need to take action. The most important thing so the secret really only tells half the equation. The other half of the equation is you have to take action in the 3D world towards what you want to manifest. So if you're like, I want a dream home, if you just sit on your couch and and like meditate and, like, oh, I'm manifesting this dream home, but you never, let's say, go look at homes, go make the money, get a real estate agent, get a broker, it's really hard for that home to come to you because you're not taking actions in the 3D world. And I want to tell you the story of my clinic. This is actually me and my husband pictured in front of my clinic. And so I had been manifesting, been dreaming in my mind for years and years about opening this clinic. And I was not taking action in the 3D world. I had a coach and she dared me to take action. And to give you a frame of reference, this was May 2020. So a lot of wellness centers my dream is open a wellness center. There's a lot of most wellness centers were shut down because of COVID and all of this. And so I was like, I can't open a wellness center. And my coach said, that's lovely. That's a bunch of excuses. I guarantee there is some action you can take in the 3D world. So I sat with it. I thought about it and I was like, I could help somebody open their clinic. So I could do a time trade in exchange for mentorship. I could help people with the project management of implementing PPE or whatever they needed to do to make it safe and healthy for their clients to come back in their clinic. And I could manage somebody else's clinic. And so I got clear. I wrote on a piece of paper just a few things that I wanted. I wanted the clinic, the managed center, the wellness center I was going to manage, to be within 15 minutes of my house. I wanted it to be less than 3 to 5 hours a week. And I wanted somebody who really wanted to mentor and train me. And then I took an action. And at the time, I looked at all the actions I had available. I was like, I'll write a resume. I'll write a resume, and then I don't know, I guess I'll just take it to clinics within 15 minutes, like a Google clinics within 15 minutes of my house, and just start dropping off resumes. I don't know what else to do. That was the best possible action I could think of at the time. And so I wrote this resume. 2 days later, I found myself in a connect in a women's networking company, in a .connect. And I was talking to this woman. I said, well, how can I support you? She's like, well, I have this wellness center in Denver and I'm moving to Arizona. Do you know anybody who wants to manage a wellness center? It's 14 minutes from your house. It's 3 to 5 hours a week. And eventually I would love for this person to take over this clinic completely and manage it, and they would own it. And I was like, oh, it's me. And she hired me on the spot. So what I want to tell you, the most important thing, so I manifested that clinic, but the most important thing is it doesn't need to be the right action. I think a lot of us as perfectionists, we get hung up. I need to do the most efficient. What's the one action that's going to help me get to my great dream? I want to reiterate, I wrote a resume that no one ever saw. No one to this day has ever seen that resume. But at the time, all of my options, I just took the best action I could think of. And that's all you need to do. It doesn't need to be the perfect action, it doesn't need to be the correct or most efficient or right action. It's just an action in the 3D world that at the time seems like the most aligned thing that you could do. So that is the number one myth about manifesting. Let's start going into the challenges we faced around manifesting. So the number one challenge we face around manifesting, well, these are not necessarily in order, but the first challenge is we get too attached to the outcome or the specific path. So when I really became a manifesting, before I became a manifesting machine, my manifesting statement is, I want to make more money in my business. And I was so attached to making money in my business, I wasn't able to see all and receive all the money that was flowing to me outside of my business. And when I got really clear that I was going on this Greece trip and I wanted to pay for everything in cash, that way I didn't put a ton of money on a credit card, I started saying, I'm going to make more abundance. Like, universe, start showing me the doors, like, help abundance flow to me in whatever way it is. And abundance started flowing to me. And I said, I want to make $6,000 cash outside of my, or, either outside of my business or above and beyond what I was already expecting in my business. And actually, in 8 months, I actually made $6,000 outside of my business, independent of my business. I made $6,000. And then I made like 20,000 more dollars in my business in that time, because I was so previously so attached to, I want to make money in my business. I was pinching off the flow of abundance that was already coming to me. When I released the path and released the outcome and just said, I'm going to Greece. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it. That's when abundance really started to flow to me. The second challenge we face around manifesting is, it's not a real desire. And I'll give you a hint and just tell you, if what you want is more abundance, that's actually not a real desire. Money is a vehicle. Money is not the destination you're going to. And so that's what really, previously to having this Greece trip, I was like, I just want to make more abundance in my business because I want more abundance in my business. And I got really tied up in, when I make more money, then it'll prove that to myself and others that I'm successful. And I had all this egoic BS belief system tied up in my manifestation. And so a real desire is something you want because you want it for no other reason than that. And so we get in this place where, a lot of the times, this is the number one thing why it's hard to get into manifestation, is we're actually in a problem solving mindset. We want abundance because we're sick of being broke. We want a partner because we're sick of being lonely. And so we're actually trying to move away from something we don't want instead of moving towards something we want. So it's a real desire if you want it because you want it. There's nothing more behind it. And that's why that Greece trip was such a powerful manifestor for me, or like such a powerful tool to help me manifest, because I wanted to go to Greece because I wanted to go to Greece. It didn't mean anything about me. It wasn't, there was nothing tied up. It was an expression of my higher self and not of my ego. And again, money is a vehicle, not a desire. So if what you want is to manifest more money, I will get into this in the breakout questions, is, what would you do with that money? Whatever you're going to do with that money, that's what you really want. And that's your real desire that you can start manifesting. The third challenge we face around manifesting is, we don't yet have the identity of the version of us who's creating, or that has that vision. And so there's a story that my mentor told me about a man. He wanted a $250,000 speedboat, and he lived on a lake, and he had been trying to manifest this for 10 years, this boat. And every time he made the money, he would lose it. Some car would break down, something would happen in his business. And he didn't have the identity as a boat owner. And so my mentor said, go buy a kayak. And the guy's like, no, no, no. I don't want to kayak. I'm spending every penny I get. I save for this boat. And my mentor said, shut up and buy a kayak. And basically, this man bought a kayak. He spent a lot of time on the water. And then all of a sudden, things started to flow because he had the identity of a boat owner. Even though it was a non-powered boat. And then he went from, a $200 boat to $1,000 boat to a $10,000, $100,000, $250,000 boat. He actually had his dream boat within 18 months because he had established the identity as a boat owner. And then the number one challenge we face, or number four challenge we face, is we're out of alignment. I find that this is actually the biggest one that affects us, is like, we want abundance, but we believe in scarcity because that's what we've experienced our whole life. So we're living, and if you're those fancy fishing poles that break in half, if you're trying to fish like this, it doesn't work very well. We need to get our desire is whatever we want. We need to get our subconscious beliefs and emotions locked in, and then you can it manifesting is much like fishing. You can cast out and then you just reel into your dream. So, to wrap it up, the number one block we have on manifesting is we don't feel worthy. We don't feel like we deserve our dream, our full expression, our full level of our dream. And this is because traumas, limiting beliefs, all this negative stuff that sits in our subconscious, people that told us, "Oh, you can't make $200,000 a year and only work 10 hours a week." That's not possible. So all these beliefs and these limitations around ourselves, all these negative experiences prevent us from manifesting, which is why I'm so passionate in my job. I work with people to release the traumas, release the limiting beliefs so that they can step into this path of manifesting and things can flow a lot more easily. Because, like I said, you're manifesting all the time. But right now, if what you're manifesting isn't coming true, either you're blocked on really manifesting big things, or maybe some people, unfortunately, are sometimes even manifesting their worst nightmares and negative things to happen to them again and again. So, in manifestation, you get what you subconsciously believe that you deserve, not what you consciously want. And so, whatever you're manifesting right now, you already know what it is. You already know what you believe you deserve because it's whatever the results are in your life right now. So, this is the slide you've been waiting for this whole time: how to start manifesting. Step one is get clear on your real desire. What do you want for no reason other than you want it? Visualize it daily, getting into the emotions of it, like really sensorizing the experience of it. And by the way, if you have any issues with visualization, you don't have to be able to play a movie in your mind very clearly to be good at manifesting. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you about it later and support you in the process. But it's really about the emotions and all five senses. You can trick your subconscious mind, can't tell the difference between a visualization, a movie, and reality. And you know that because when we watch movies and something scary happens, we jump. And so we can use that to our advantage. If our subconscious can't tell the difference between a visualization and reality, we can trick it by visualizing every day for 2 to 5 minutes. We can trick our subconscious mind into thinking we already have it, which then starts to work on building the identity and all of those. It helps ease all of those challenges that we can face around manifesting. The third step is releasing resistance, fear, self-doubt, procrastination, unworthiness, whatever it is that blocks us specifically. What comes up for me, resistance, is confusion, procrastination. That's how it usually shows up for me. And so once you release the resistance and you get your beliefs and your emotions into alignment with your thoughts and desires, then all you need to do is take action. When you take action, you take one step towards your dream, and your dream takes 1,000 steps towards you. So if you would love to become a manifesting machine, I would love to support you in doing that. Talking about this and sharing these tips and tools is my deepest passion. And so you're already manifesting all the time. So why not start manifesting your dreams? So I'm offering a free 45-minute manifesting machine coaching session. This is an opportunity to just get to work with me personally about what challenges are you facing and troubleshoot and work with them. You're going to get tips. I only have a couple spots available. My calendar, since I've come back, I'm actually super busy. But we're going to give you tips that you can start applying today. And then if it's a good fit for us to work together, I can give you a roadmap of how I can support you long-term in becoming a manifesting machine. Normally, this private coaching session with me would be $197, but it's just as a thank you for attending today. And you can scan the QR code if you'd like to sign up. But you'll learn steps on what you can do so that you can really step in and start creating the dreams you've always wanted. And the last thing I'll say is, when we start manifesting, we go from I don't have abundance to I have abundance. That's when you start manifesting. If you want to be a manifesting machine, you got to go. We get to step from I have abundance to I am abundance itself. And that's where we really establish the identity. So thank you guys so much for everything today. I'm going to stop my screen share and put the link in the chat. And if anybody has any questions,